Alright, I'm just picking on this one refrigerator. However, this is probably not the only brand that suffers this, but you ever have water start dripping into your refrigerator? Here I'm looking inside my refrigerator and I can show you the water droplets. This is where the cold air comes from. It starts from the freezer, and then we have water that will drip down. I put a towel in there to catch it because it was kind of making a mess. I've already emptied the contents of the freezer and have removed the necessary screws to take the back off. And this model, it's not necessary to remove this. However, the base was frozen in. I'd already pulled it out, so in any case, I'm just gonna pull it out. Ice maker was already removed. Very easy to do. A couple of screws on top, screw on the bottom, and then you unplug it. The plug would come through here. This is where the water comes in to service the ice maker. We took the tray out, and there's just two screws that hold the panel in. This one on the top left, top right. The unfortunate thing is that at the very bottom it was frozen in place, so I'm just going to pull this out and show you what's going on. A little bit of history on why these are set up the way they are. The old-fashioned refrigerators, all the elements used to be in the walls, and if you've ever lived in a home that had one of those types of refrigerators, you'd know that the frost in the freezer would fill up and start taking the space. Because every time you open the freezer, it's cold inside, warm air mixes with it, and then the moisture from that air condensates on the walls. So they made frost-free refrigerators. So how does that work? This is your evaporating coil on your freezer. So what does that mean? Is the Freon in here comes in as a liquid, and it creates negative pressure in here due to the compressor, and boils off the liquid. And so doing, it absorbs the heat in the refrigerator. The net result is dropping the temperature. So anytime something's cold, warm air, moist air comes in when you open the door, it'll collect on these coils. So if we never put a heating element on the bottom here to melt the ice that collects on here, this would clog. So that's what they do. They put a heating element, and it goes through a thaw cycle. I don't know how many freeze cycles it has to go through first before it'll run a thaw cycle. So what was happening with my freezer beforehand, there's a drain here, so the water would drop down, it would drain into the, collect in this channel here and drain on a hole. But once that hole clogs up with ice, then it begins to overflow. So I used to have to deal with this about every 6 months, empty everything out, take the panel off the back, and then go through the long process of thawing this block of ice. And of course the drain tube itself is frozen down inside, so that takes a while. So what I had done is I took this heating element and I bent it downward, probably about a 1/2 inch from the drain hole, and it hasn't been a problem. So I've actually gone many years without this refreezing. So I don't know. There was no frost on here, so if there was frost on here, I'd say the heating element wasn't working. What may have happened is, I don't know if one of the kids had lowered the temperature of the freezer refrigerator, or it got bumped accidentally, but when I start freezing stuff in the back of the refrigerator, it's usually telling me that somebody had lowered the temperature. And of course, where the adjustment is, it's not easily visible, and so we start freezing all the drain hole, and then of course this happens. So this is a long process to thaw out, using a couple of hand warmers to help thaw the ice out, and a couple of towels so the water doesn't run into the bottom of the refrigerator. But that's, if you get water in your refrigerator, more than likely this is the case. To problem solve, bending this tube down closer to the drain hole. I'd probably about a 1/2 inch. I don't know if you can tell, but that's where the drain is. That dark spot there. So I don't think Whirlpool is the only one that suffers it. I think there are bigger name brands out there that have gone through similar issues. A couple of friends of ours had a very expensive refrigerator, and the freezer was on the bottom, but you can hear the fan hitting something, and we assumed it to be ice, and they would have to unplug it for literally a couple of days to get everything to melt and then start over. So that's that.